All right. We are live here on this beautiful Sunday morning, once again from Belgium. And I know we were running a few minutes behind because technical difficulties. The internet was just not allowing us to do the internet, what we were trying to do. So we had to restart our computers. And my internet was acting up. Mia's internet was acting up. We changed positions a few times, but I'm so happy that you guys are here for this amazing interview with Mia Herman. And if you are just now tuning in, definitely let us know in the comment section where you are tuning in from. I'm really curious to see who's watching this live this evening. We are going to give it a few more minutes. And if you are just tuning in, I see a few more people have just tuned in. Definitely drop a comment and let us know where you are tuning in from. I'm curious to see what part of the world everyone is watching from this evening or daytime, whatever time it is, wherever you're at. All right, let's get started. Welcome to Unconventional Itinerary. My name is Heather Courtney, and I am the founder of Black in Portugal. I have been living abroad for almost 6 years between Japan, Mexico, and now Portugal. I am the mother of an amazing, almost 17-year-old next month, and I'm a United States disabled veteran too. So I have been wanting to do these live interviews just to talk to people, hear their stories, inspire so many of us that want to leave the US or our home countries, those that want to travel but need inspiration. And these stories are life-changing and they're so engaging and so impactful. And I'm really excited for everyone that has been on my channel getting interviewed. So if you are one of those people that have an impactful story or any story about your travels or moving abroad, definitely send me a message at heather@blackinportugal.com and I will get back to you. So without further ado, if you are listening to the podcast or this YouTube live, I would like to introduce Mia. Let me bring her to the stage. Hi, Mia.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am here. I am happy, and now things are working. So I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Yes, we had a bumpy start. a little bit.
A little bit. It's okay. We got it together.
Yes, we got it together. And it looks like we have some people from Lisbon on vacation, but from Delaware, Marina is tuning in. Darlene from Houston, Texas. Rose,
Hello.
Atlanta, and Dwayne Brown from New York City. Okay, well, welcome.
Oh, nice.
So we have a little bit of everything on like the East Midwest, a little bit.
I love it.
So without further ado, Mia, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your journey?
Yes. So I am Mia Herman. I am a former flight attendant, current sort of travel writer, mom, wife, all the things. I started travel writing. I actually started a blog in like 2014, just so my family could kind of follow along our journey because we traveled a lot. And then I kind of turned it into a career. And it's taken me all around Europe. I've worked with some tourism boards and I've written with some different publications, a couple of features with Forbes, Forbes Travel and USA Today Travel and things like that. So I have done a lot of traveling and some writing about that traveling. And now I am living my travel, I don't know if it's a dream, but I'm living my travel life.
Wow, that's really amazing. I know you just mentioned about writing a travel blog and wanting it to be a way for you to connect with family and friends about all your adventures. And back when my daughter and I started traveling, I also had a blog called Unconventional Itinerary. And I was highlighting our travels, traveling the world as a single mother, someone who has autoimmune issues, so health issues, traveling the world, just the two of us. So it was very,
Uh-huh.
very interesting to document these things. And when my family and friends did read it, it was kind of like an eye opener to see like
Oh, yeah.
what is going on in my mind when I'm writing these things, or if I'm journaling like throughout the day. So I love that you were able to do that too for your family and friends.
It's very different talking about it when you come back, just
Hmm.
in passing, but writing about it, because then I feel like you kind of experience it a little bit differently because you want to say things in more detail. Oh, we went to this place and it was, describing more of the place and the people and the feel, and not just, oh, yeah, we had dinner here and we walked down this boardwalk. And, you just kind of put more thought into it. But I think it helps you kind of experience it a little bit more. My thoughts.
Yes. No, 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 it does. And one of my friends who has younger kids, two daughters, she had posted in one of my other groups that she was about to travel again, and she brings this portable printer that prints stickers. So her kids have their own journal, travel journals, and she just posted a picture of it. So everywhere they go, they snap a
So cool.
picture, they print it, and their kids get to write about it. So it's definitely amazing that she's able to get her kids involved with documenting their own travels.
That's so awesome. I want to do that for myself. Like,
You know,
I mean,
it's
like,
so
what do
good.
people do with pictures anymore? It's like we take them, we have them on our phone, and then what do you do with them later? Maybe you post a few, but that's a really genius idea. Okay, might have to
Yes.
borrow that.
I have an Instax portable printer. It doesn't do stickers. It just prints like little Polaroids like this big. So
Mhm.
whenever I come see my boyfriend, we take pictures together, and then like we'll just print out those pictures, little Polaroid pictures, and we said we'll put it in like a big frame later on. But printing
Oh,
pictures is like a thing from like the 90s, like early
I
2000s.
know. I'm gonna need that link though.
I
That-
definitely will. But um yeah, so you shared so much, just your intro and everything, but can you tell us how travel played a role in your decision to move to Portugal?
um, so I basically dragged my husband all over the place because he was an avid traveler before we got together. And one of the things I had always said, oh, one day when I get married, or if I don't get married, or my life partner, whatever you want to, whatever I was going to have, who knew? I just said, I want to make sure that person wants to travel as frequently as I do.
Mhm.
And we just started traveling like all the time. First, it was little trips here, a few days, and then it turned into like 5 days, 10 days, 3 weeks. You just kind of make it
Yeah.
longer and longer. And I'm like, have you ever thought about living abroad? And he's like, no, because he's in tech, and he's like, that doesn't really work with this was back when remote working wasn't as big as it is now,
Yeah.
even
So
though he's
pre-COVID.
always been way, way, way pre. We're
Okay.
about to celebrate our 13th anniversary, so like way
Oh,
back
wow.
in the day. Uh,
Wow.
so even though he worked remotely, he was just like, I don't think I can go work someplace else. And then what do? We moved back, and we just started traveling more and more and more. And he's like, I could really see myself living someplace. And so I was like, ooh, more trips. Let's do more things. And I think just some things at home kind of led us to thinking maybe we should start having a retirement plan outside the US. Because as most people know, retiring in the United States is not necessarily feasible for a lot of people.
Yes.
And unless you have like proper investments, or you've got a pension, you've got your 401k just stocked up. A lot of
Mm,
people are working into their 70s and 80s because they can't retire.
yes.
It's not a reality. So we said we would like to retire and enjoy our retirement. So
Mm,
it's going to have to be outside the United States. So we considered some place in Europe for that reason. And it kind of led to Portugal as similar weather, similar landscape to California, which we love, but not
mhm.
in the US, just outside.
Yes,
So that's
different.
kind of what led us here.
Okay, okay. And what inspired you both to visit Portugal first? And when was that trip when you first came to Portugal to visit?
So our first trip to Portugal was in October of 2022. We decided in like 2016 that we were going to retire in Portugal. We hadn't even been here.
Oh,
We knew it
wow.
existed. We were like, that place looks really pretty. And
Mhm.
every time we would take a trip, we are like, should we go to Portugal now or should we go someplace else? Someplace else. We already know we're gonna love Portugal. It'll be there. It's fine. So our very first trip was in October of 2022, and our son was almost 6 months old. And we came
Oh,
here for our scouting trip, and we were like, okay, yes, this is exactly what we thought it was going to be. So it kind of solidified things.
okay, so what were some things that caught your eye that you liked that was like, "Okay, yes, this is it. Like, I don't wanna look anywhere else. This is Portugal for us."
So I think it's so we lived at the beach in Los Angeles. So we did not want to be landlocked at all. I was like, I need beach access, even though I don't get in the water. I need beach access. I
Okay.
don't ski, but like I like mountains, and I need a beautiful landscape. I need something to look at. I just this is I thought this was such a beautiful country, and I'd heard
Mhm.
so much about how welcoming the people can be. And anywhere has their outliers, and nowhere is 100% welcoming to 100% of the people. But we'd
Yes.
always heard really good things about Portugal. And so we just, that was like, once we got here, the way the people made us feel with our child, I was
Mhm.
like, man, they actually like kids here. It's like,
Yeah.
they have children's lines for everything. You take priority at the bank if you've got a child with you. And it's like, they are genuinely interested in families, and a sense of community and things like that. And it's a very different feel than what you have in the United States when you walk in somewhere with a baby and people are like,
Like, yeah.
right? They're like, "Oh, please don't cry. Please don't be loud." And I get it. I mean, our son is too. Like just a couple years ago, we didn't have a kid, so I understand. But it's just a different feel. People here, we've yet to go anywhere where our child hasn't been allowed to go. It's very different.
Yes, I find that Portugal is, child friendly, family friendly. I
Hmm.
feel I see parents all the time outside with their kids. I feel like we don't see that as much because we're always in our cars driving,
Hmm.
and we don't have the same access as far as just walking around your neighborhood,
So true.
find the park, meeting other parents, and, like, letting
Yep.
your kids while you network or just meet other parents.
Yeah.
I feel that is the culture is a little bit different,
Hmm.
and here in Portugal, I feel like the parents are more relaxed, and
Yes.
they're just, like, enjoying their kids. I see a lot of fathers by themselves taking the kids out, which was like, "Wait, what? Where's mom at?" But the dads are out here taking
I've
the kids.
seen this.
Yes, and it's so amazing to see because it's in the US, like, you really don't see that,
No,
to the same caliber as how much you see it often in Portugal. So
it's
I
very true.
yes, I did notice that as well, and also I feel like in the schools too. I know your baby's young, but, my daughter has been, in a Portuguese private school and a British, hybrid school, so from the
Yeah.
Portuguese side, I see that they really do care about their kids. I remember one time, my daughter's school called me, and they were like, "Is your daughter eating? Because she had asked for a cracker, and we just wanna make sure she's eating at home." And I'm
Oh
just like, "Look,
no.
my kid is 16 years old. Please do not call me asking if my child is eating. Teenagers don't like to
In their
eat.
own mind.
Yes, but it's the thoughtfulness of,
It is. It
making
is.
sure maybe she missed breakfast that morning or
Right.
maybe whatever the
Something else
case
is
is.
going on.
Yeah, so I felt like her school was really in tune to, and I feel like you would not have gotten that same type of,
No.
I don't think hospitality is the right word, but reach
But I know
in a
exactly what you mean.
yeah, yeah, so
I agree. I agree. We had him, we went to his school administrator to basically register and everything. And he's going to a Portuguese crush, which is
oh,
like our daycare um,
yes,
in
yes,
the
mhm.
States. So, and it was really cute. The lady's like, "Do you want to put him in music?" And I said, "Yes, of course, that'd be great." "Do you want to put him in gymnastics?" "Of course, why not?" And she's like, "English?" And she goes, "English?" I was like, he's 2. He doesn't know anything yet. Of course, I
Yeah.
want him to learn English as well. But she was like, wait, he knows English. I'm like, he's 2. He doesn't know anything yet. He knows words, but we want to make sure like he also is going to be in English classes with the rest of his little 2-year-old little classmates. So it is very, very different here. And what you were saying about the dads, like there have been times that we're out walking around and I see just like a newborn, dad, baby in the carrier, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I love to see it. I think it's amazing, but it is definitely not something you see on this caliber in the States. Definitely not.
No, not at all. So I'm just like, okay, I'm taking note, Portugal. I
Right?
see how's it going.
I love that. So my husband went out the other day and
Mhm.
took my son for a long walk, and he sent pictures, and I was like, oh, I see what you're doing. I was like, oh,
Mhm.
okay, you're out there just looking all cute and
Mhm.
taking our son for a walk. But I love
Yeah.
it. I couldn't ask for more. That's why we're here. The whole reason to spend more time and make memories with our kid.
Yes, and that's a lot of memories and time lost that many do not get to have in the States because we're working full time. By the time you get off work, now it's time to pick up your kid.
Uh,
And people aren't picking up their kids till like 6, 7 at night. And by that time, you're exhausted. So you don't get to spend
100%.
times with your kids because now you have to wind down. You might have to cook dinner. You need
Yep.
me time. I feel like parents, especially women, don't get to have a lot of me time. And then it's just like the
No.
cycle of like, hey, time to wake up in the morning, get my baby
Yep.
ready, drop off
Yep.
daycare. So it's a
And
totally
then even
different.
on the weekends, you've got, I need to run the errands that I didn't get to do during the week because I'm working all day. And then that's also not time that you could spend time together, but you're not making those memories. You're not like forming core memories and, fun things. It might be, okay, we're going to Costco or something, even though it's time. In the States, you just don't have that real bonding time. And people are doing what they can. We did, our son obviously is loved. People, you spend the time that you have, that you can, but we are older parents. I'm
Mhm.
48, with a 2-year-old. My
Well, you
husband
look
is
good.
52. So it took us 7 years to have him. So I'm like, I would like to live as long as possible to be
Mhm.
here for him. And being in the States with all the stress and just the worry and the headache and all the things, we just didn't think that was possible.
Yeah.
So that was part of the moving here, for less stress, to be here longer for our child and to be here more daily with him. So
Mhm.
that's,
Present and everything and make these
yeah,
memories. Like
yep.
I say to
And have the
everyone,
time.
yes, and give our kids the childhood that we never had or never could even dream about having. No way I would be thinking I'm raising a kid global,
No,
at this
no.
age ever. So
I mean, I was
it
a latchkey kid. Like I brought myself home and made myself, dinner, and while my mom was working, like that's what we did,
yeah,
So, but we did it. We survived. Our parents loved us, and they gave us everything they could. But the dream is to give your child more than you had.
yes, I
So,
agree. Yes. So I know that you came in 2016, you said you were coming to Portugal. Portugal was on the list. You came in October 2022, but what happened after you left Portugal as far as your unexpected move to Portugal? Because there was a timeline that you had planned on, but then some unexpected things happened. So what happened during that time?
so when we came, we did our scouting trip. We said, okay, we just wanted to find the area where we wanted to live. Like that was the whole goal. We watched all these videos on YouTube about like people doing walking tours through different cities. We're like, okay, you can kind of get a vibe here, whatever. So that trip was to just kind of narrow down where we wanted to live. And so we knew we wanted to be in the Silver Coast area. We knew we wanted to be on the coast. And so we looked at some properties while we were here, but it wasn't until we got home, that the service we worked with sent us more properties. And one of them was the apartment that we bought, and it was way over budget.
Mhm.
We weren't going to send it to you because, it was over your budget. But I'm like, when we were here scouting, we found out that we wanted two completely different things, but we didn't know that until we got here.
Yeah.
My husband was like, "I want a dynamic view." And I'm like, "What does that even mean?" Like, that means a lot of things to a lot of people. Like, what does that mean? He's like, right? Like, okay. So he's like, "I need to see the ocean." I'm like, right there with you. Love the ocean. But I'm like, I want to be, if I'm moving to Europe, I want to walk outside my door. I want to walk
Mhm.
to a cafe. I want to go have coffee. I want to shop. I want to, like, I do
Yeah.
not want all the things, right? I do not want to get in my car like I've been doing forever in the States. When we were
Mhm.
looking at not villas, but like houses that were kind of like up on the hill that had like really nice views, but I was like, this could be any subdivision anywhere with just a
Yeah.
beautiful ocean view. I was like, that's not. So we were like, well, I guess we're at an impasse. I was like, maybe two different houses. I don't know.
Yeah, that works too,
Right? I'm like, maybe, same city. But luckily we found a place, and that's why we went over budget, is because this place had everything. It has the incredible view, but we can walk into town 10 minutes, all the things, but we're kind of just above town. So we can get away if we want, but then we
Yes.
can be in the center of everything in 10 minutes walk, 2 minutes drive.
Yeah.
So, but it was a new build, and
Mhm.
they said it'll be ready December 2025. And we're like, that's perfect, because we are so not ready to move here yet. We were
Yeah.
like, this timeline. All the other places we looked at were already built. And so
Mhm.
we would have had to do like Airbnb, or we would have had to rent it out long term. And we just were not ready to make that commitment.
Yeah.
But the new build, we were like, oh, yeah, 2 years, that's working for us. And in February
Mhm.
of this year, just a few months ago, my husband was laid off
Oh, no.
unexpectedly. So he's in tech, and it was just like, one day we're restructuring, and there you go. And we were like, huh, okay, so we own a home in California. We're buying a home in Portugal, and only one of us has a job. And one of those jobs is really not the lucrative one that we still had. So we were like, there has to be some choices made.
Yes.
Absolutely loved our house in California. It was a big accomplishment for us to both buy it. Just owning a home in the States is a big accomplishment, no matter where
Mm.
it is. That's
Yes.
just something we strive to, that's something a lot of people want. But we had to
Mhm.
decide what we were going to do in terms of where we would live, because if my husband's looking for a job, is he going to look for a job in the States? Are we going to rent our house out, move someplace else, wait for this apartment to be done? There were so many logistics. And
Mhm.
I just said, what if we just go to Portugal now? And he just
Yeah.
looked at me like I had three heads, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna need to know more. He's like, tell me how this would work. I was like, I have
Yes.
no idea. I don't know how it'll work. I was like,
Buy
our
the flights,
apartment's
figure it
not.
out later.
That's why I said, I was like, you know what? People are doing it. People live there. They're making it work. So I just said, it's cheaper to live there right
Mhm.
now than it is, like, even if we wanted to just rent our house out. I'm like, if we rent our house out and we just move to another apartment, we're still going to be paying, like, we're not going to be whole. We're going to
Yes.
still be paying a portion of our mortgage, because, the rent's not going to cover that. And then we're going to have to move someplace smaller. I'm like, if we're going to move anyway, why don't we just go to Portugal? It's much more affordable. We can afford to live
Mhm.
there. We can actually give ourselves a little bit of breathing room where we don't have to find a job like immediately, and then maybe we just kind of figure it out once we get there. And he said, okay, how do we do it? And that's when I went on and made our VFS appointment and just started going. And that's, yeah, that whole process.
So you guys didn't make any appointments or anything yet because you figured in a year from now, you could probably start your visa process,
Uh-huh.
and by the time everything was done, you'll be in Portugal. Your
Yep.
house have been finished or just about being finished. So at this
Yep.
point, you're just like, okay, now I need to like be on it and
Yeah.
make appointments, get it done, and hope that in the next 3 or 4
Yes.
months that
Yeah.
our visa would be approved. So
Mhm.
wait, so this was in February.
Yeah.
Are you waiting for your visa approval right now, or
Oh,
was it
no, it's
approved?
It's already approved, and we are here on our temporary residency visa. It was a mad scramble, let me tell you. I have never been so stressed in my entire life, ever.
The visa process is stressful, but you guys went to San Francisco?
Uh-huh.
And
We did.
what month did you go for your
Uh,
appointment?
our appointment was March 15th. So,
Okay.
because we had to decide, are we going to rent our house? Are we going to sell our house? Well, like, that was like one of the first things that we had to decide. And that was going to basically just kind of decide everything else. Like, are we just going to
Mhm.
come here for the summer, do like a 90-day travel around Europe or something? Or are we just going to try and like move here like now? So we decided to sell our house. Our appointment was March 15th in San Francisco. And so from basically February 1st
Yeah.
to March 15th, we had about 6 weeks to get everything together for the visa process. And most people take, I don't know, 6, 8, 9 months to prep. We didn't have
Listen,
that.
I did my mom's visa twice. Once she went to San Francisco back in January and they lost her application. Like,
No.
they lost it. And she was like so fed up. Like, I just made her appointment last month for June in Washington, D.C. This is in San Francisco. Made her appointment in Washington, D.C. and she was able to get reference number, everything. And
Wow.
navigating the people with VHS is horrible. It's trash. So if you are
Oh,
getting your E7 in San Francisco, before you leave, make sure you have a reference number, because my mom thought the reference number was the paper when you make the appointment. You have a reference number on there, but it's
it's the little
one.
receipt
Yes,
thing. Yep.
never got a
Yep.
reference number. She never got an email saying her application was sent off or anything. So
Wow.
I did do her application twice.
I'm
And
sorry.
yes,
It's not fun.
it's not fun. It's so
No.
stressful. You're trying to make sure you're figuring out everything. Everything is right. Did you get the right
Uh-huh.
fingerprints? Did you have the new birth certificates or
Yep.
whatever personal vital
All the
documents?
logistics.
And sometimes they don't even ask for what is on the checklist. Sometimes they're
They
like,
don't.
yes,
Oh my
it's
goodness.
different.
And you know what? It's funny because when my husband tells the story, he's like, "Oh yeah," because he was the primary
Mhm.
seven applicant, and then we came as like accompanying family members. But they were like, "Okay, who wants to do the?" Because they only wanted one of us sitting at the desk, and he's like, "Who wants to do it?" And my husband's like, "Oh, I'll do it. I'm the primary." And the guy goes, "Well, who knows the most about the paperwork?" He goes, "Oh, that's her." Like, I don't know anything. So I know that because we had a visa advisor, we had somebody check over our application and like go over
Mhm.
all the things to make sure we had everything. So I was like, "Do you need the paper that allows us to travel freely with our child? Like either one of us? I know that's a thing
Yeah.
that you need." And
Mhm.
he's like, "Oh, yeah, okay, I'll take that." And there was like three other things that I was like, "Do you also need this?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness." I was
Yeah.
like, "Are we not gonna get approved? Because like, did I forget something?" Because that was so
It all
stressful.
depends on who you have that day, what
Mm-hmm.
they feel like giving you. The 2 checklists between San Francisco says you have to have a 1-year lease. DC says you can use a 6-month Airbnb or Booking.com. I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
this is why
Right.
it's very stressful, because what worked for you, we could have both
Yeah.
went to San Francisco and let's just say ACE, because everybody talks about ACE.
Oh
ACE could
yes,
have
I know.
sent me 1 through 5, but
Yep.
then Joanna said you needed
Mm-hmm.
2, 16, 35, and 98. And you're just
Yep.
like, what?
You're like,
So
somebody's got to have a central answer because you can't just make up stuff. And it is, and I've heard some people with stories that are like, "Oh, they said you need to have like 2 million in the bank," and they're like, "What?" Because one, that's not true. Two,
yeah.
I've heard of people getting denied who are like, "Oh, I have like 500,000 in the bank," and it's like, okay, well, so I don't even I tried not to listen to whatever they were saying there because I know that that's a processing center. So I'm like, okay, I just want to make sure we have all of our paperwork here. Our advisor is she lives in Portugal, but I think she's Canadian, but she's been working doing this for the longest time. And I was like, whatever she tells me to put in there, that's what I'm putting in there because she's got people approved, our friends, the friends before them, and so, but
Mhm.
that was seriously, it's not hard. It's just a lot of information to get together. And then it's also like the logistics of the timing. It's like well, you can't have your appointment like 90 days before you actually leave, but then, you're just guessing when you want to have your ticket. And then we have a dog. So we had to get the USDA certificate that's only good for 10
Super
days.
stressful, super stressful. That's the most stress. I was stressed with the Portuguese visa, but getting my dog and cat and
Oh,
then making sure the vet, because I had to drive to a different state because nobody in the state of North Carolina where my mom lived, even though they were listed on the website, they did not do it. So I had to drive to South Carolina.
wow.
Have you done this? When was the last time you done it? Have you done an
Yes.
electronic one? Because
Yes.
sometimes they mess it up, and I've seen people, they either went to a vet that said they knew what they were doing, and they didn't know what they were
Mm-hmm.
doing. So they missed that window. They had to book another flight, or people didn't include like the overnight. I actually myself to be overnighted, so I
Yeah.
paid for the overnight.
Yep.
And yeah, so that's really stressful. If you're coming over with dogs, like be prepared to be super stressed. And even at the airport,
Yes. Oh my
the
goodness.
vet at the airport is another joke, another thing.
And
And
you
I'm
know
just
what?
like,
We got super lucky with that because, like, for one, the vet that we found, like, the lady was like, okay, we have done this before. We do this often. I was like, okay, that's fantastic. And then she said, she goes, you know what?
mhm,
Everything is country specific. Let me call the USDA and make sure we know exactly what you need for Portugal. I was like, okay, these people, I'm working with them because they know what they're talking about. But then everybody's like, okay, when you get
yeah,
to the vet at Lisbon airport, it's going to be chaotic. Like one person take the dog and the
mhm,
paperwork, and everybody else go get the bags and everything. There was one person in there, and he was like finishing with her, and he looks at me and he goes, "Did you make an appointment? Did you send the email?" And I said, "I did." And he goes,
same with mine.
and I was like, I can show you the email. And I showed him. I go, it was
Exactly.
a Friday that I sent it because I knew we were coming on a Monday. So it says to send 48 hours in advance, but I knew you weren't
Mhm.
going to be here on a Saturday. And he goes, oh, okay. I was like, oh my goodness, dude. But he was
Yeah.
super nice. And he looked at my paperwork and he goes, I love this vet that you worked with. He goes, this is the best paperwork I've ever seen. He goes, if everybody in the States could work with this, he goes, this is the level of information I'm looking for. I go, I just told them to include everything they could possibly think of. I didn't want to get stuck and not bring our dog.
I have paperwork. Both my animals, well, my daughter has a cat, but both our animals are rescues from 2 different rescues. We lived in Mexico, so they had like a Mexican passport, and they had whatever documentation from when they were microchipped through the rescue. And then
Mm-hmm.
like
Yes.
book was so old and like dingy. It's been through a lot between different
Yes.
countries. And
Yes.
they were like, well, this we have the microchip number, but where's that on this paper? I was like, look, I don't know. All I know is that I have a little tag that says your animal has been microchipped,
Yes.
and I put a little tag. I was like, look, you just have to work with this. I said, look, this is
Make it work.
the FDA or USDA documentation. It says the microchip on this
Yep.
documentation, and you can the chip reader on the animals.
That's the whole
And
point.
yeah, and then he was just like, okay, I paid my little 80 euro and I went about my way and I had to get my 6 luggages. So
Yes.
just prepare for that and expect
It
the
was
unexpected
tough.
in Portugal. Yeah.
Honestly, that's the whole thing here that I'm like, I I am going with the flow with
Mhm.
everything. I am like, tomorrow doesn't mean tomorrow that is going to happen. I'm like, you know what? I'm fine with that because I right now we're technically we're on vacation.
Yeah.
Even though we live here, we are going to take the summer and we are going to enjoy where we live. We already have friends and family coming to visit. We're already hosting people. I'm like, I don't even know anything here yet, but we're already hosting people but I'm just
Slow
gonna like
to
right.
enjoy
I'm
the moments.
just
Yeah.
transitioning to that Portuguese lifestyle that we wanted to where I'm
Mhm.
just, you know what, I'm enjoying life. Just go with the flow, have a coffee, relax. And I love when you're sitting and having dinner and they're not pestering you like, do you need to check?
Yeah.
Are you done? Do you need that? I'm
And
like,
it's quiet too. I feel like when I go out to eat, at dinner places, unless there's a game going on, it's actually really
oh,
quiet. And you can
yeah,
always tell when the Americans are in town because they're always the loudest people, and I'm just like,
always. Somebody
"What
said
the hell?"
Americans never use their inside voices. And I'm like, that's true.
We
That's
don't.
so
I don't think we ever learned inside voices
no.
outside of elementary school.
No.
Yeah, it's just like,
Yeah.
the amount of joy it brings me, the amount of peace it brings me being here,
Mhm.
especially by myself with my teenage daughter, like, I don't have all of the fears like I would in the US.
Oh,
My daughter
same.
takes the train across the water, visit friends, hangs out on the farm where her friend lives, comes
Mhm.
back. I'm able to transition. I feel comfortable. When I go out, I feel as equal, like, versus, like, in the States. I lived in Northwest Florida before I left the US,
Yep.
and I always felt like I had to make space or make room for white women. And,
Always. Always.
now here, and, like, even when I lived in Mexico in the Yucatan, I felt that, wow, like, I fit in. Why am I saying excuse me for these people?
Right?
Other, people that look like me, not just like the Black expats, but
Right.
even like the darker skinned Mexicans that were there.
Mhm.
It just felt like, yeah, we're all the same,
We're all just here. We're
excuse
just
me.
existing.
Yes, but it's
Yeah,
just a totally different feeling welcomed and
it
not
is.
feeling like out of place, and making sure like my daughter doesn't feel like, you know, not isolated, like an outcast, because she did competitive cheer, and she was one of the very few black
Oh,
girls at the gym,
I believe
and
it.
I think she's the only black girl on the team, so they would like touch her hair, and they
Huh?
would just do stuff like that, and it's
I
just
grew up in
like,
Texas, so yeah.
yeah, my kid's not my kid is not a petting zoo, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. And it
Yeah.
is a different feel, and my husband's cousin, we're trying to bring all the good people. We're trying to get out all the good people here. But she's like, I love being here because I just feel like I can exist. And
Mhm.
like nobody, not that nobody cares, but like nobody's bothered by me. Like you said,
Yeah.
I don't have to make myself smaller to accommodate
Mhm.
somebody else. Like I don't have to code switch. I don't have to change my voice to be less
Yes.
whatever. I'm just existing. I'm just myself and I'm happy. And I'm telling you, the craziest feeling is, so Redondo, where we used to live, the
Mhm.
population was like, I don't know, like 60,000, maybe almost 70,000. Of course, Los Angeles County is like 10 million people. Okay.
Yeah.
So here where we live, it's like 15,000 people,
Mhm.
but it's kind of spread out over a place. But I'm walking down the street and people are like, "Hola, bom dia." We're just like, "Hi." And then like we'll go to a cafe and we'll see some friends and we'll go to another place and we'll see some other friends. I'm like, it's
Yes,
just
it's
it feels
nice.
good.
Yes, it does feel good. One thing I really enjoy about living in Portugal is that I can just, a lot of my friends are retired or they're digital nomads. So they can work wherever, they can take a break whenever. So I like when I'm like, oh, hey, let's do lunch. And then we do
Uh-huh.
lunch. Hey, let's just walk down the street. Which way are you going?
Yes.
Where are you going? Are you going this way?
And,
Oh, okay, I'll just walk with you. And then we end
yep.
up like down some random street eating ice cream or like finding a new shop. And I feel like to me, this is like luxury because
Mm-hmm.
you don't get to have these things. In the
No.
US, we're always driving. It's not
Yep.
safe really to walk down any street.
No. No.
I'm in the US.
Definitely not in late at night.
Yes, and there's always something going on. There's, like, little shops, there's, like, little
Uh-huh.
vendors, and I really love that life because it's just, like, everyone is enjoying what they're doing, whether they're
Yes.
selling stuff, whether just hanging out in the corner. I love
Yeah.
going to the parks where people are, like, literally just, like, laid out there reading books with their dogs. They're just doing whatever, and it's so
Just
peaceful,
it is.
and,
And
like,
we don't know how to enjoy life like that. I
no.
think we know how, we're not allowed to. We haven't
Yes.
been allowed to because all we do is work to live.
Mhm.
And even people who have higher means than others, it's like they're still working to live. People who have
Yeah.
lower means, they're still working to live just to afford to eat, to have a roof over their heads, all the
Mhm.
things. And it's just there wasn't very much space to just enjoy life. There were moments, but I
Yeah.
feel like here it's people want to enjoy life first and then they're like, okay, and then also I'll work. But like
Yeah.
I'm enjoying life and my family and my friends and things, and then work is like, something that I also do. So,
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like, I mean, real talk, we do need to have an income of some sort, like, we do need a job, but
100%.
as far as, like, if I don't work as hard today, are my lights going to get shut off? Or if I decide to
Right.
take a half day, will I be able to feed my kids? I feel like those that mindset and that type of conversation is
Right.
not like top of the list, especially for expats, because
Yeah.
most of us that are moving abroad, we have some form of income. The cost of
Yes.
living is very much well below what
What
we
we're
are
used to. Right.
used to in the States.
Right.
So being able to enjoy life and having those moments of maybe I don't want to start my day till, I mean, not 5 o'clock in the afternoon, but after 2. Maybe I want to,
Yeah.
know, go to Pilates in the morning. Maybe I just want to walk around. Maybe I just want to lay in bed and just be thankful that
Huh?
I can have this life. Like I deserve to have this soft life, and so does my family. So I
So
like that. It's a new feeling, like you said. Like it's something that we're not used to.
very different.
We're not used to having this. We're not. I mean, some of us are privileged. They
Of
have money.
course.
They have money, which is fine. But for people like myself, that my family did not come from money. I had
Right.
to work, hard for everything I have today. It's
Uh-huh.
nice. Sometimes I just
Nice
don't know
to
how
have that.
to feel. I gotta be doing something. I gotta be doing something. My friends, and I was like,
That's
Heather,
our that's our
like,
mentality. I
yeah,
gotta, yeah. You
hmm
can't just, because I think with the United States, we're always so afraid that whatever we have will be taken in an instant anyway.
yeah,
And that's kind of the predicament we were put in when my husband lost his job. And, it's fine because it was not fine. Nobody wants to get laid off. But we were lucky in a way that we had some savings and we had some investments and things like that. And like you said, that is not a reality for a lot of people. And we
yeah,
even know that that's not a reality. The life that we get to live here in Portugal is not a reality for all Portuguese people. So we are also very cognizant of that. And we try not to go around saying, oh, this is so cheap, or like, things like that, because it's not. And it's not, nobody wants to hear that anyway. And it's very disrespectful. So
yes. I
we say that it's more affordable for us
affordable.
coming from where we came from. And, not
I try.
everybody has the same financials.
Exactly. That's one of the things I stopped saying. I'm like, yeah, it's so cheap here, so cheap in Portugal. And I'm just like, but cheap to who? Because
Right.
at the end of the day, Americans, we are privileged no matter what skin color you
Oh,
are. You're
yep.
American, you are privileged. And
Yep.
I really had to step back and put myself in the foot of a local. Let's just say if I had an event, I'm just like, oh, it's only 25 euros. Like
Mhm.
that 25 euros could make or break someone,
So
So
true. And talking about the lights being on or off, like we have no idea if some people here are in that position
yeah.
where it's
Mhm.
like, do I feed my child or do I put gas in the car? So
Yeah.
we are very aware that we are privileged to live this life that we have right now here.
Mhm.
And we are appreciative of the Portuguese people being so welcoming to us that we want to make sure that we respect them as well, just
Yes.
and their lives and their culture and all the things. So it's a balancing act, but there are always going to be people who have more and people who have less. And but as long as you're just respectful and you live your life and you don't hurt anybody, then
Mhm.
and then I think it's okay. I think you're good.
Yes. Before I continue asking you some more questions, if anyone in the audience that's listening or watching, definitely you can drop a question in the comment section so we could definitely answer your questions. I know we talked about so much, but
No
I'm hoping
problem.
that this conversation has been very insightful, and I'm really excited to talk about the next few questions. Ask me these next few questions, especially surrounding young children, because a lot of people in the Black in Portugal group that are coming are families. Like the influx of families and retired people, and people like, what school, or what about
Mhm.
childcare? What about nannies? What are the things to do? So I would love, love, love
A
to
lot.
talk about that. So, how did you manage to move and transition to Portugal with a young child? And what advice do you have for other parents in similar situations?
So doing it with a young child is either crazy or the best decision we've ever made. I'm not sure yet because we're just in
Mhm.
the beginning phases of it. So But a lot of people say, you know what, it's better when they're young. And like, I'm like, you know what? He doesn't know what California is. He doesn't know where we are. And he's been quite the little traveler since he's been born anyway. So he's used to going here and there and doing the things. But the difference is if you're coming here with children, you really have to do your homework, do your research, and find out where you want your child to go to school, and also what type of school you want them to go to. Do you want them to go to international English school? Do you want them to go to a Portuguese school, public, private? There's so many options. But you kind of touched on something at the school administrator at my son's school was saying the landscape of immigrants is different. It's not
Mhm.
just retirees anymore. There are tons of young families, and there just are not enough schools
Yeah.
and creche, the daycares, and all the things right now. So our school that he's going to be going to, they're adding an English coordinator in the fall, and
Mhm.
then some English teachers. But we didn't even think we were going to get a spot. Like
Yeah.
it's just like in the States
Yeah, the
for
wait.
daycare and things like that. It's like there's no spaces. You can be on the wait list. Like it's just like
Mhm.
that. They're trying to change that because there's 10 million people in the entire country. So,
Yeah.
then you've got people coming from all over, not just Americans. We're not even the top,
The top percentage, yeah.
exactly. I'm like, we're just like a little blip on the radar. But, if you listen to the media, we're just taking over, but we're not. But definitely make sure you know what type of school you want your child to go to, and then research those areas, because our city where we live has some schools, but they're not like, they don't have space, but like the I don't know, there's like not enough. There's just not enough schools,
Mhm.
and the way they do schools here is very different from the way we do schools in the States. And it's really cute because like we were worried about our child moving to the next age group at his daycare
Yeah.
school. Well, here the teachers move with the students as they move up, and I think it's
Mhm.
until seventh grade. So I'm like,
So it's
that is really
familiar.
lovely.
Yes.
So you get
Wow.
to like, have that bond with the student, between the student and the teacher throughout their like formative years and all those things. So
Mhm.
I think that's really lovely. But the school that we're sending our son to is like 20 minutes away. But they have transportation to and from. They have a little bus that
Oh,
has
really?
all the little car seats. Oh, it's adorable. I'm like, I just want to get on it because it's so cute.
I've
But not
only
all the
seen one bus here for kids, and that, my daughter's old school, they drop a kid off in our building, and, he's in high school, maybe, like I think he's in high school, he has to be in high school, I don't think he's in middle
oh,
school,
okay.
but you don't see any buses in Portugal, not school
No.
buses at
No,
all.
no, not school buses, no. It's like
Yeah.
one of those cute little, like, transportation buses, and it's just, like, all the little seats. I'm like, "Okay, that's adorable." And
Yeah.
she's like, "Do you want transportation to and from?" They pick them up in my city and certain times,
Mhm.
and I'm like, "That's lovely, like, that's wonderful." Not all the schools offer it, but it's
Yes.
great. And then they offer music classes and gymnastics. And there's like a town where they have these programs, but they go to the school and do the programs there as opposed to having the kids go. Like, this is great. They lunch is included, and it's like
Mhm.
a three-course lunch, like soup
Yeah.
and and I'm like, wow, this is like incredible. Some of the things that we would just never ever get in the States. I'm
Yes.
just like, this is just standard. Y'all just
And
do
it's a
this here.
home cooked meal, it's a home cooked meal, and
Yes.
that's one thing I loved about my daughter's high school was that they were in there. I mean, I didn't agree with some of the stuff they were eating. They had, like, a little menu, and I was like, "My daughter not gonna eat fish heads, not gonna lie." But
No, same.
the fact that they're in there cooking, where in the
Yeah.
US, we're so used and accustomed to stuff out of a can,
Yep.
artificial stuff, and here it's like
Everything.
and I love that our
Yeah.
kids are able to not only go to school, have these
Mhm.
experience, but also get nutritious food that will, help them make it throughout the day. So many times we eat
So
crappy
true.
food, we feel horrible after
Yep.
we eat it.
Yep.
So I couldn't
We're
imagine.
sluggish, we're still tired, we get that spike and then we crash. And yeah,
Yes,
and
yeah.
the kids are just following in our footsteps. And yeah, that's that the
Yes.
schools here are just, I I'm speaking from experience of some other friends who have already been here with their children, and I am very excited about the school he's going to go to. But it is very important because you don't know what kind of school is. You need to know the schools that are in your area, whatever age your child is. So even if you want to live in a very specific place, the school that you want your child to go to could be like an hour away. So like you really have to decide location, 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 or like location and also all the other things. So it's not
Yes.
all available here. Like every city doesn't have all the things. So
Yes, and it's really important to definitely join these expat groups, join the local especially join the local groups because
yes.
those are the ones that are gonna know about which schools. When I was looking for schools for my daughter, like, it was so hard when we first got here because I was just like, there's no one direct listing. The
Nope.
all the
No.
schools different things. Nothing
Nope.
is just like in
No.
order. And you might have a
No.
website that says, "Hey, there are
Maybe.
these college, I mean these schools," and then you have another website that has schools the same area, but none of them reflect the same schools on there.
No.
So
No.
definitely like do your research, reach out. I feel like you cannot successfully move abroad without networking or connecting
No. No.
at all because
No.
you miss so many valuable information. And it's important to make sure our kids are happy. We want to feel good about putting our kids in these schools.
That's
It's
number
just one
one.
that we just have to do as parents. I know I come across people that are like, "Oh, I don't like Facebook. I don't go on this. I don't go on that." I'm like, look, it's not about whether you like it or not. It's about getting the information that you
Yes.
need. You don't
It
have
is about information.
to just lurk and type
Yes.
in the search button. And that's it. And you get the
Yeah.
information go about your day. You don't even have to
You
you
don't
know.
exactly. You don't have to look at anything else. And
No.
that's the thing when the two times we came before now, we had joined the local expat website on Facebook, and we
Mhm.
saw that they have local meetups
Yeah.
every Friday and every Saturday. And so we came to them the both times that we were here. And so we met the lady who runs the group, and we met some other people, and she is actually the one who helped us um, narrow down schools. She reached out to her network of people,
Mhm.
Portuguese friends who have children, expat friends, all the things. Gave me a long list of like all the like great schools in the area, like what you should ask, this, that, and the other, all that information. She also helped us get into an apartment just by saying, "Oh, hey, I know this family. Like they're very sweet. I think they'd be great tenants." Like
Mhm.
yes, like, I mean, it was just like, wow. A doctor, our son was really sick. He had like a temperature of 103 2 days before we came here. It was like, okay, are we actually going to get to go or not? But I was like, I want to know where I need to take him if he gets sick while we're there. But
Yes.
having somebody local who knows people, even if
Mhm.
you just like go once to your local meetup or something like that, or just join the group and introduce yourself and say, hey, whatever, it
Name
is
to
invaluable.
yes. And it definitely is, and it can go very far because I have people that they move here, and when I first moved here, before I found a Black in Portugal, I have the Literal Mountain Collective, and I wanted to meet other Black and brown women that were living here and be able to connect. So when
Mm-hmm.
I did that group, there were so many resources being bounced around that I did not find on the internet at
Oh,
all.
yeah.
Like, I did
Yeah.
not find I didn't know about the discount card for, the pharmacy. I
Wait,
didn't
what?
know yeah. There's a discount card. So when you go to the pharmacy, you use your card and you get points and you could buy stuff, also, like,
Oh,
the
interesting.
continent card too, some,
Yes. Oh, I love that thing.
yes,
That
but
thing
some
gets a lot of use.
yes, but some of the doctor's offices, like independent ones, I heard like
Mm-hmm.
people use them to get discounts. Like you can get a discount off like a service.
Okay.
Um, as far as like rental insurance, you can get through like your utility. There's like all these little hidden
Mm-hmm.
things.
Mm-hmm.
Or I need a sitter or I need a cleaner that,
Yeah.
you're meeting real life people that you may have met or someone can vouch for them giving you valuable
Yes.
advice instead of internet strangers. So that's why
Yeah.
important to definitely connect, whether they're Portuguese, Afro-Portuguese, they're
Yes.
expats themselves or immigrants that have been here, definitely
Yep.
being able to connect. And I like that you mentioned about the meetup group. Also, there are there's other meetups, like I know Internations is really big in Portugal. They have meetups all
Mhm.
the time. I know we Black in Portugal have some meetups sometimes, but a lot of people do informal meetups.
Yeah.
But definitely the local ones are your bread and butter right there.
Well, because you also want to make sure that once you arrive, you feel like you have a support system. We were
Mhm.
lucky because we have friends that moved here 2 years ago from our city, and they live 15 minutes from us. We have other friends that live about 10 minutes from us. We have one of my best friends and his family live in Lisbon. I mean, so
Mhm.
we have quite a network of people. And like I said, we've already met some of the expats who live here. Our The lady who runs the group connected us with like the other people who are buying apartments in our building. So we
Yeah.
already have like a little chat group with
Yeah.
these people, and it's like, so anything that goes down, we feel like we have somebody to talk to. And it not everybody has that, but if you can like form that before you get there, or like as
Mhm.
you're like, preparing, things will go so much easier for you. And that's really what you want when you go to a new country. You want something to go easy.
Yes. Yes, I know
Come on.
we are, I know we started a little bit later, but I wanna make, some time to get through some of these questions. I think there's, like, 3 or 4 questions. There was one about Dwayne Brown had asked, "Did you use an agency or attorney, or did you do the application by yourself?" And I know you mentioned that you had a lawyer, that you use, if you want to tell
We had
them
an
about
advisor.
advisor, sorry, an advisor.
Yeah. So we did the entire application process ourselves.
Mhm.
All the things. So we gathered all of our information. We did our application, our personal statement, all the things. And our friends who came here 2 years ago said, this lady basically will go over your entire application and with a fine tooth comb and tell you what you maybe need to change, what you need to whatever. Because you can miss a lot. Like when I made our first VFS appointment, I put my wrong passport number. I like transposed 2 numbers, and I'm like, okay, this
Oh,
is not
man.
good. So I had to cancel it, start over. So I was like, you know what? Somebody just look over the things. That's probably a good idea. So we did do the whole application ourselves, but having this lady look over it at the end before we turned it in, I would recommend to anybody. I don't care who you use. She's great. I would 100% recommend her, but anybody who does this service to look
Mhm.
over your information, because we almost applied for the wrong visa
Yeah.
because we had an idea of one, but we really didn't qualify for that. And that would have been just a whole disaster and pushed everything back. So definitely someone to look over it, but you can do it yourself. We use the Facebook group with all the steps and the files, and
The
you can do
American
it yourself. Yes,
yeah, I did
you can
it
do it
4
yourself.
times. 4 times I did it, and if I don't ever wanna see a visa application for Portugal ever again, but you can do it, and no
Ever.
matter if you hire someone, a relocation service provider, like, they cannot request your FBI check, they cannot request
Right?
your birth certificates, like, you still
No,
have to provide it, and what they're doing
you
is
have
with
to do the work.
over everything, getting it together, assisting with
Yeah,
other like a bank account, your NIF, they do
right.
that, but, people have done it, I've done it, you did it,
Yep.
um, but it's always good to make sure, to have that comfort of like, "Okay, I got all this stuff, I'm paying
Yeah.
them to look at, make sure I'm not missing anything, so I have a peace of mind."
Yes, and that's the thing. A friend of a friend was here just this past week, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna hire somebody to do it." I was like, you're just going to be throwing away your money because, like you said, they're not going to be able to get your passport notarized for you. You're not going to be
Yeah,
able to get your background check for you. You're going to have to get your financials together. There's so many things. You basically just have somebody look over it before you turn it in, but somebody will charge you and say, oh, I can do it for you. And you're going to be giving them all the information, and they're just going to put it in order and like give it back to you. Don't do it. Just have
yeah,
somebody look over it, and I think that's the best advice.
yes. Also, I know you answered this question, and I did not really answer the question, but he also asked, can you both share where you live in Portugal? I'm based in Lisbon, Portugal.
Uh, we are in the Silver Coast. We are Nazaré. We're
The waves. People go there
yes,
all
big
the time.
wave.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes. Monterey is really, really nice.
but it's closed. No, they're not taking any new people. I'm just kidding. I'm
Yes.
just kidding. No.
If you go, you need a car. If you're
Yes,
really
you do.
in,
Yes,
you need a car.
you
Um,
definitely need a car here.
yes, thank you much, Seema, for saying love this detailed, inspiring conversation. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you.
Stephen was watching from Oakland, California. Whitley Irving gave us some hand hearts like this.
That's my friend from London.
All right. Marina asks, my question is a little off subject, but I have been trying to obtain this since I have been here July 7th. Where can you find some organic shea butter for purchase? So it depends
I
on
don't
where
know
you're
where
at.
anything is.
If you are located in Lisbon, any of the African shops, you can find shea butter. I know a few people in my community order it offline from the UK, I believe. If you send me a email at heather@blackandportugal.com, I can send you the links where people order them offline if you're not able to find it at any of the African shops. I'm not sure what part of Portugal you're in, but if you're in Lisbon, definitely any of the African shops. They will definitely have some shea butter. D from France. Hey, everyone. Hey, D. Let's see. Lenita Green. What are you going to do about it? She said, my husband, people, and I are watching. He stated, okay, I think you might have missed a few words in between that, but they only share the positive. Can you share the negatives of living in Portugal, if anything?
There's.
Yeah,
I've only
there's.
been here 30 days, but as I said before, I am not living a dream. I don't speak the language. So we happen to be in a city where they have more tourists. So a lot of people do speak English here. But the minute we step foot out of here, we don't speak the language. That is very difficult. I went to try to get, even here, my son's social security number. He needed it for school. And the lady just kept asking me a question. I don't speak her language. Like, it was not up to her to accommodate me. She did not speak English, but she does not have to because this is Portugal and she speaks Portuguese. I didn't speak the language. And she kept asking me something, and I thought I was answering her properly, and she just told me to leave. And I was like, got it. I'm out of here. Okay. But that's on me. I'm in her country. But, like, you could get the same treatment at the DMV in the United States. Like, our local friends are like, it could have been her day, angry day. Who knows? But
Yeah.
not everything is perfect. Of course not. There's not any place in the world that's going to be perfect that you are going to move to. There's going to be bureaucracy, which everybody says there's lots of bureaucracy here. We haven't seen it yet. We've only been here 30 days. But I can tell you the things that are probably going to be challenging. I'm weighing those against the things that I wanted to kind of separate myself from the United States. So there are some things that are not going to be better here. There are going to be a lot of things that are. But, I don't have a reference, so I'm sure you can talk more about the negatives or the not so greats.
Yes, I will say the language barrier can be tough. I know, this is Portugal. Nothing's perfect. I do find that some the Portuguese people that choose not to speak English can be very rude and mean. I've had my own sessions. I get that we're in your country, but at the same time, I could have just arrived last week and
Right.
I need to get something done,
Right.
or I have a learning disability where
Right.
I have a hard time learning a new language. Like, there's so many different things, but I feel if we're able to communicate in a way where we can use Google Translate, or sometimes like I'll just give them my phone and they'll just type it in and like it'll be okay. But it really depends on if they feel like being bothered that day. And if they don't feel like being bothered, they're gonna be like,
then they're not gonna be bothered. Yep, she said.
we are not. Yeah.
See you later. See you later.
Yes, I will. Dwayne asked for the advisor's name and email, but I will get that from Mia, and then I
Yes.
will put it in the description of this live. Darlene asks, me and my daughter have sister locks. I see both are natural. What about the salons and barber shops? For me, I know guys can't see, but I have micro locks. It's just up in a ponytail. But there are plenty of places that do offer micro locks here that possibly might do sister locks. There's a lot of people from the diaspora here that are doing some type of hair. So somebody
Mhm.
out there might be doing micro locks, but you can ask on the expat groups, the Black in Portugal group, who has sister locks where they've gone. And there's a lot of places that do natural hair. I feel like it's rare I ever see anyone with a perm. I think
Oh
that's
yeah,
just like
I've not.
very American. Like I've seen perms like on the top shelf at some places, but I don't see anyone getting their hair
No,
permed.
I haven't seen any straight hair here. But I
Yeah.
do know that for the most part, either towards Lisbon or maybe towards Porto, there
Hmm.
are way more salons available.
Yeah.
There's not really a lot in the Silver Coast area, but my husband's cousin is moving here and she does hair. She's like, "Ooh, I need to get here soon." She's like, "I
Yeah.
see some hair I need to do." And I'm like, "Yeah, mine, please." So there will
Yes.
be more, I'm sure.
Yes, and for those that don't know, I know it's a common question that gets asked about are there like black hair products or anything in Portugal? And the answer is yes, because for those that don't know, that Portugal did colonize 5 African countries: Angola, Cape Verde, Sao Tome, Mozambique, and Guinea-Bissau. And their presence is very well seen in Portugal. So
Yep,
you will see people that look like they might be Black Americans, but they are definitely
but
not
they are
Black Americans.
not.
There are tons of hair places and Brazilian hair companies too here for your
Oh yeah.
hair.
Oh, they're so
Um,
good.
let's see. I know we're running short on time. I know that we can go back through and answer these questions after the live. LL Cooper's question about why we chose Nazaré over Lisbon. I know Mia can come back and give her take on why she chose Nazaré, and I can do Lisbon. The Shining Light said, do you plan on learning the language? Is it absolutely necessary to learn Portuguese?
100%. We just had a call yesterday with a language teacher, and I want to be able to, we want to be able to communicate in the country where we live. Um,
Mhm.
can we get by in a lot of places with English? Yes, but it's not their native language. But they
Yeah.
do actually start learning English from very young here. You have to
Mhm.
study like 3 or 4 languages in school. We don't have that in
Yeah.
the States. But yes, we plan on learning. August is like a whole month of vacation for Portuguese. And so we're like, okay, so we're not starting in August. We're going to start in September. And we're going to do private lessons. We're going to do like a year-long program, but we're also going to take the program, the free program through the government that you can do once you have your residency. So we're gonna attack it from both angles. We're gonna try and do everything.
Yes. And for those that are wanting to learn Portuguese, please make sure you are learning your Portuguese and not Brazilian Portuguese. There is a difference
Mhm.
with the way that the Brazilians pronounce their letters versus the Portuguese, and Duolingo teaches. Let's see, Dwayne
Mhm.
Brown, Mia already mentioned about the government classes. I will definitely post information about that as well. And thank you, Dayani, who
Ah,
said obrigado, um, which I believe is a woman, so it will be obrigada for women, the feminine version of it. But
so
yes,
cute.
so this was great. I know we're over by a few minutes,
I know.
but yeah,
So much
so
fun.
what's next now that you're here?
We actually,
Yes. So what
I
is the
want.
next what's upcoming for you? Anything exciting before we
So I actually am working with one of my Portuguese friends. I want to help
I'm
people do. Oh, can you not hear me? Oh, I'm like,
I can hear you.
so, Oh, okay. So I'm gonna work with one of my Portuguese friends. He has a transportation company. Um, we are gonna start doing transportation tours like between Lisbon and Porto, like kind of if you want to like stop in between at cute little cities on the way there, maybe go to a farm, do some cheese making, do some wine tasting, something. But I also we want to help people do what we did. That last minute scramble to get our whole family here.
Mhm.
If we had just had like a little bit more support, somebody to ask questions to who had done it, uh, that would have been really helpful. So that's kind of my next venture. I want to help people. I want to help people come to Portugal. I want to answer their questions, and anybody who is new to Portugal, that's kind of we're new here. We want to help anybody else who wants to come here and just be kind of their advisors or their consultants. So just a resource
No.
for people who are coming after us. So that's
Yes, that's so
hopefully
awesome. Yeah, so I will
that's the
definitely
plan.
put that how to contact you in regards to your upcoming venture with relocation and transport services. And we are going to end this live because it is 11:16 my time, and my boyfriend has work in the morning.
Oh,
So I
I
need
know.
to,
Baby's sleep in the back, so
yes,
it's
I need to get out the room. But no, this was so fun and exciting, and I'm so excited for everyone that tuned in. I hope
me
this
too.
has been
Thank you.
helpful. If you have any other questions, definitely post them, and I'll also go through the YouTube comments, and Mia will definitely check too. And just be on
Yes.
the lookout. Not today or tomorrow, I will update the description with the information as well. And one last thing, Marina, the African shop is by Largo do Largo de São Domingos. It's
Mm.
up the hill a little bit. But if you comment, I will definitely post the Google link to the exact location of that particular African shop. So, with that being said, I hope everyone has a beautiful start of the week. Just know it's never too late to move abroad. There's always going to be support. There's so many different Black communities out there that are waiting for you to reach out to them for a soft landing spot. And we will, I guess, connect on the next live for Unconventional Itinerary. I'm leaving to go back to Lisbon finally on Sunday, so there may not be a live this upcoming Sunday, but the following Sunday there will be. So if you liked what you listened to, like and subscribe, leave a comment, thumbs up, and definitely share. So we will check you guys later.
Thank
See you,
you.
me ever coming. See you guys
Thank
later.
you. Bye.
Bye.